are seeing. So
Yeah, so let me make sure the format slicing. Wait a minute. Hold on. Here.
are you guys still there?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to figure out something here. Let's see. Let me know if you can see my screen here.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. All right, so thank you everybody for joining us today on our webinar. The title, of course, is Unlock the Power of Text, New Analysis Options via DiscoverText. Presentation is made by Dr. Stu Shulman, and also my name is Esther Lavielle, and I'm from Survey Analytics. We're going to go ahead and get started here just a little bit past 9:02, I believe. Looks like there's a couple more people that are looking to log in. So feel free to go ahead and post any questions or comments that you might have in the question control panel that you see under your GoToWebinar control panel. And we'll make sure to adjust the slides and also the presentation and audio accordingly here. So I believe it is 9:02, so we're going to go ahead and continue. So let's see here. Okay, so looks like the bottom of this got cut off just slightly. So what we'll cover today is we're going to talk a little bit about the presenters, and we'll also talk about some hot trends in do-it-yourself text analysis. We'll also speak about, 5 very simple steps in getting started with text analysis. And of course, we'll introduce Dr. Stu Shulman here and talk to you about DiscoverText, simple tools to uncover the power of words. And we'll include an example, and then we'll open up the session for Q&A and also a conclusion. So let's see here. So a little bit about Survey Analytics. We did start back in 2002, and we are headquartered out of Seattle, Washington. We are one of the top 500 fastest growing private companies in the U.S. We have well over 6,000 clients, and we are growing. And besides Survey Analytics, we also have popular tools such as Question Pro, Idea Scale, MicroPoll, and we also have some new tools that are coming out here in 2011, which also include Survey Swipe, Survey Pocket, and also Badge Farm. Again, my name is Esther Lavielle. I am the Chief Education Director over at Survey Analytics. A little picture of myself. And I also wanted to do a quick intro about our main presenter today, which is Dr. Stu Shulman. He is Assistant Professor over at UMass, and he's also the founder and CEO of TextSifter, or I hope I said it right. And he's also the founder and director of QDAP over at UMass and the editor-in-chief of the Journal of Information Technology and Politics. I did find online that you are a really big garlic growing enthusiast, so I thought I would love to share just a little fun fact for everybody. So if anything, if you have any questions about garlic, I'm sure he'd be more than happy to answer any questions for you. Here's a little bit more about TextSifter. Basically, if Stu, if you'd like to come in, I'm just going to go ahead and read this here. But basically, TextSifter products help index, search, filter, and classify large amounts of text. So that includes market research, e-discovery, extractions from key insights, large and diverse enterprise data sets, social media research, and also archival services, peer group and crowdsourced collaborations, and also credential-based cross-organizational work groups. So you can check out DiscoverText.com for more information. And so, did you want to say a little bit more about that, Stu, before we continue?
No, I think that I'll circle back around on some of that. Thanks.
Okay, sounds great. Before we start with that, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about some of the hot trends that we're seeing with do-it-yourself text analytics. So we found here that Forrester Research named text analytics technologies as one of the top 15 trends to watch in the next 3 years. And the reason for that is that you can use these kinds of tools to mine and also interpret and structure information and reveal some hidden patterns and also some relationships. In this, you'll be able to reveal the voice of the customer, do a lot of competitive intelligence, and also make some operational improvements and achieve better compliance or law enforcement. We do also see that in the future, a lot of people are going to be using these types of tools for analytics, and also they'll be able to use it as a search tool to find comments either from either Facebook or Twitter, and they can see some patterns by using these types of tools. And then also, the analytics and information retrieval portion allows for the content professionals, not the IT professionals, to be able to go in and analyze and see, what is useful and how they can categorize this. And also, with the growth of social network marketing and media, we're seeing a lot more analytic tools open in that area as well. So if you'd like to know a little bit more about that research report, I do have a link that you can click on our slides that we'll share later, and you can review the Forrester report. With the do-it-yourself text analysis, you can also be able to code and analyze unstructured data from any of your surveys, social network sites like or Twitter, any of your company blogs or personal blogs, and anywhere really. So you can also get a transcript from a focus group and then upload it. You can use email, all sorts of different things. So a tool like this is very versatile. Some of the pros include, cutting down on cost for coding. In the past, you would have to, many old companies would take your open-ended text and then send it to a research firm to have a coding department code for you and do all these categorizations. This kinds of tools will allow you to control a lot of that data and be able to help, self-analyze it from within and get it in a lot faster. To the right here, you see these are just some of the things that you can discover by using DIY text analysis tools, such as higher frequency words. You'll be able to look at open-ended text, charts in tag clouds, and etc. So here's just some quick 5 steps that you can start with, anytime you're getting started with text analysis. So the first thing you would do is you'd want to, clean and organize your data. And of course, the second one was you'd want to translate your survey data to a uniform language if you need that. Third is to segment, by metadata properties and or categories. Fourth is you can label and mark interesting items. And the fifth one is to look for, obvious patterns, for example, frequency counts, tag clouds, repetition, and etc. So, and these are just some 5 really quick steps that you can apply to any kind of tools. And we love to be able to show you how we can apply it to the DiscoverText tool. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Dr. Shulman at this time. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Esther, and thanks everybody for coming. I'm lucky to be here. I just flew overnight from Seattle, Esther, where we're going to keep going with the slide deck, and landed in an ice storm at Hartford Airport. Managed to get home. Great, thanks. So let's move to the next slide. Part of what we're doing at TextSifter is dealing with problems that are created when data is linked too closely to particular applications. And so one of the main goals for us as a software company is to flatten out all these different sources of text data and to bring them together into a unified repository. So you may have spreadsheets from survey analytics with all sorts of useful structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data, but you may also have data off the web, such as blogs or Facebook or other content we'll talk about today, and you may have email repositories and a whole range of data types that traditionally people think of as being associated with a particular application. So part of what we're doing is trying to break data away from applications and to flatten it out and create a unified repository for it. Can we go to the next slide, please? One of the things that Survey Analytics has done is create a devoted export type. It's really something we've just started doing, and so it's I would call it version 1 of the XML export. But it's fairly simple to do. It's hardwired right into your Survey Analytics control panel. As you can see, you can set a range of dates and grab an XML file that you will then be able to import to DiscoverText. Next slide, please. So let me just say a little bit about the platform, and in particular say one or two things about the Facebook credentials, because this is an important issue. Some of the new users of DiscoverText are people who are drawn to the idea that you can harvest content via the Graph API or the Twitter API. The Graph API is at Facebook, and the Twitter API, and archive it and store it for building projects and doing analysis. This is actually a very powerful tool and an interface that again is really very new and just starting to take shape. So one thing I will say is that if you want to pull content off of Facebook and use it in DiscoverText, you will need to log in with Facebook. And we've got, under our help pages, which aren't shown here in the slide deck, we do walk people through the various steps. And you may have gone through this with the New York Times or some other website that you use, where you use your Facebook credentials, your username and password from Facebook, to log in. And what that gets you within our system is the ability to use the Facebook search engine from inside of our system. The same is true for Twitter. If you have a Twitter account, there's a point where you can log in and use your Twitter credentials, username and password, to begin archiving and content off of Twitter. Next slide, please. This is the dashboard inside the system, and essentially we want people to start thinking about their text analytic work in terms of projects. So the hierarchy of the way the system is organized, at the highest level, you would create a project, and that project could have a series of archives that are imported. The archives may come from Survey Analytics, they may come from email servers, they may come blog content or some of these other social media we've been talking about. Next slide, please. We have been working hard to develop sort of universal method of bringing data in. So using APIs, or application programming interfaces, is one of the key ways we do this, but we also do this with bulk imports of zip archives of plain text files, or bulk exports of email from email systems. There's all sorts of ways to bring data in, and we're constantly looking to become a universal repository for all data types. Again, removing the data from the application in which it's born and giving it sort of new life in an application where it can be handled in different ways. Next slide, please. So you see, we recently added, if you're inside the system, we've added a Survey Analytics export file type to the range of file types, whether they're standard archives or live feeds. And we don't actually do a live demo in this session, but there are some tutorials online that you can find through the DiscoverText help menu or through the TextSifter website, and they walk you through step by step. There's also a a help wiki where each feature you can see it on the screen and sort of see what the steps are that are involved in doing data collection this way. Next slide, please. Once you select your file type, say it is an XML download from Survey Analytics, you'll get a message once the upload is initiated, and then again a notification when the upload is done. These move along fairly quickly. I won't do it live here on the demo today, but if I go into Facebook and capture a live feed from the White House Facebook page, it'll take about 5 or so minutes to gather together about 30 or 40,000 comments off of that page that represent the last 6 months of comments on that page. Next slide, please. Part of what we were interested in when we first started building this software was creating a comment. It was a public comment management and review system. So our clients at TechSifter, our original clients are federal agencies like the United States Department of Agriculture or the FCC or the Fish and Wildlife Service, where they're receiving hundreds, thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of public comments, and our system keeps track of the comments that have been read and the comments that have not been read. Just hold on for 1 sec. Sorry, it was just somebody emptying the dishwasher right outside my door. It's kind of loud. And so the archive details for us are important because if you have a mandate to get through either a coding task or even just a reviewing task, you're going to want to know which items have been read, which have been coded, and which have not. And that's part of what we've hardwired into the system. Next slide, please. We have a reader window. That's what you see in the bottom right, where you can expose the metadata associated with items. This is a little item from an open-ended survey response where somebody is responding to a particular question, and we've got some metadata on them up above. We can also browse and search. We've got a simple search feature and a more advanced search feature so that you can leverage those metadata fields to slice and dice your data in particular ways. So you may have hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of items, as the case may be, with more or less metadata associated with those items. And our advanced search gives you the ability to create a sort of complex chain of filters so that if you want to see what the white females over 35 are saying in response to a particular question or a particular theme, and that metadata is available in your data set, then you're going to be able to pull that finer slice, a more finely grained slice of your data out for closer analysis. Next slide, please. Oh, I think that's gone backwards. I think okay, maybe that was a duplicate slide. Oh no, okay, that's not bad. Okay, I'm sorry. Could you go back 1 slide? My apologies, Esther. Okay, so this does sort of walk you through the workflow very quickly at a high level. If you are interested in gathering data about a product or a brand or a page or a group on Facebook, you would select the Facebook icon. Next slide, please. And then the second step is to do a search. In this case, I've done a search for Farmville, which is a popular social online game. And what you see there in the results are the results from inside of Facebook. So these are various pages, and you can scroll down through them. In the future, we're going to do a little better job of displaying these results and providing more metadata about them. But if the top result, Farmville, was the page you're after, you would hit Next, and we'd go to the next screen, please. And then step 3 is we have a scheduler. So for Facebook, what we currently do is go back 6 months. That's a constraint that we built into the system because we didn't know how much data we were going to get, and we can lift that constraint anytime we want. But you can also go day forward by checking the box here and scheduling future fetches. And we limit up to 100 fetches, and then give you various choices. It could be every hour, every 15 minutes, once a day, once a week. And so you'll accumulate more data over time into your archive via this scheduled feed catcher. Next slide, please. We've got a very simple tag cloud tool right now that allows you to see the most salient concepts, or most frequently occurring concepts in a data set, and then to click on that would produce search results with the highlighted term appearing in the search results. In the future, the tag clouds will become a little more sophisticated. You'll be able to drop items and add items and create dictionaries of things that you're always not interested, or dictionaries of things that you're always interested in, whether or not they are the most frequently occurring. And in the very near future, this will go to another level, when instead of using just word counts for topic clouds, we'll actually start building topic models based on a much more sophisticated use of algorithms than the simple word count. I'll say more about that in a minute. Next slide, please. I did mention that we got into building these tools, both the manual coding and tagging tools, and then the automated information retrieval and natural language tools, as part of my work for 10 years with funding from the National Science Foundation to help build a better system for the federal government to sort public comments. So some of the core technologies that are most exciting to us in the lab, and which we're really looking forward to rolling out early in this new year, have to do with management of these large unwieldy text data sets. In public comment sphere, some of our established technology, the duplicate near duplicate detection and the tag clouds and the identifying of unique text within text that is very similar, often a modified form letter. This is stuff that's currently in use by the federal government and may have application in the private sector as well. What's coming down the pipeline are tools that we're using in the lab right now and that we're in the process of coding into the system that will, as I said, allow you to build more sophisticated topic models. So imagine having a big text data set and knowing there were 4 or 5 or 6 big things you're interested in, and seeding a topic model with those, and having the system go out and build a model for you of how that topic plays out, what it co-occurs with, what is frequently said about a particular topic and in what way, and then to layer on some rudimentary tools for sentiment detection. Now, I'm not a huge advocate of unsupervised sentiment detection. I've been doing research for 10 years with one of the top natural language processing researchers in the world, Ed Hovey, and Ed and I are of one mind that sentiment detection is often oversold as an existing technology rather than a future technology. From our point of view, sentiment detection gets better when a user, it's kind of like training Dragon naturally speaking. It does okay off the beginning, but it can do better over time to the extent that a human gives information back to the system and kind of trains it to let it know when it's being useful and when it's not. So part of what you'll see at DiscoverText in 2011, in addition to topic models, are some new sentiment detection techniques that really emphasize the role of the human in the loop to do that kind of seamless adjudication of system results, so that the system has an active learning element and gets better via machine learning over time. Next slide, please. Our system is architected as a peer system, so it's a network. And peers aren't exactly like friends. There's not a one-to-one relationship between friends and peers, but there's a similar architecture, and that is anyone on DiscoverText can invite anyone else on DiscoverText to be their peer. And this creates the possibility for forming peer groups based on specialization or credentials, affiliation, some other dimension, and sharing data and coding projects across groups, whether or not they belong to the same organization. We think this is actually a very important part of the system, because the traditional model of getting more than one person to code your data is to get 2 people to code your data, and often it's just 2 non-domain specialists sort of off the street or from a firm that provides that service. And I've run a lab for about 5 years providing students, graduate students, undergrads to do the service. And among the things we've learned is that really pulling in people who are experts or domain specialists can add a lot of value to a project, even if they don't code all the data or most of the data or create tags or labels or annotations. Even if they just work on a small part of the data, the ability to share a project with an expert who has something special to add is a key feature of this system. Next slide, please. We got into building software because of our frustration with some of the commercial off-the-shelf software that we had been using in the lab. So I have taught and have used for about 5 or 6, 7 years now Atlas TI, which is one of the leading qualitative data analysis or do-it-yourself text analysis software packages. There were things that I wanted to do with annotation in terms of the automated loading of items and coding via keystroke rather than a mouse, things that I thought would speed up the process of doing a very large number of items. And just some architectural design features about adjudicating the difference between coders and measuring inter-rater reliability. That's what got me into making software in the first place. And we believe that the goal of a good text analytic firm is to figure out what humans do better than computers and what computers do better than humans. And if you can sort of hit that sweet spot where you're deploying computers and algorithms, search information retrieval techniques, filters, metadata, and so on, and then bringing the human in at a key point to make a series of judgments, that we can help machines do better work over time and better understand the answer to the question, what do humans do better than computers and what do computers do better than humans? Next slide, please. We are greatly influenced by a professor from MIT who was here to give a lecture, a keynote speech at a conference on open source software. And Professor von Hippel talked very passionately about the fact that innovation comes not from inventors like me, but from users like you. And he told a very compelling story about the invention of the mountain bike by a bunch of people who were users of regular bikes. But this is a powerful idea in text analytics because we're in the process of architecting a system, and the architecture is there, and it works for allowing an unlimited number of people to annotate your data, to put your data into a this would not be for everyone, but crowdsourcing or expert crowdsourcing to get innovation in analysis is going to be a part of the future of text analysis. I'm quite certain of that. Next slide, please. Part of what we do is just very mundane in our system, right? If you find a piece of what we would call trigger text and highlight it while you're coding a document, then you can write a memo about it that'll be available for everybody who's working on the project, becomes part of the record of the project, and it becomes a bookmark, an electronic bookmark back to that highly salient piece of text. When I describe to people what does the software do that we've built and that we're in the process of commercializing, what it does is it lets you take very large piles of text from diverse sources and narrow it down through a data reduction exercise to those bits and pieces that they might not be the most commonly occurring or the most frequently occurring things. They may be the idiosyncratic outliers, the things that only occur once or twice in 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 documents. And to the extent that you can create a system and a workflow that allows you to go through a data reduction exercise and end up with a collection of 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 of the most important chunks of text within your much larger text collection, then you're an expert in text analysis. Because that's really what it's about. Some folks mistakenly think that text analysis is about finding the central tendencies in text. And it can be. And that can be useful to get a 30,000-foot view of a text data set. These are the main things going on. But often the most interesting things that go on in text in collections of all sorts, and I've worked with people from a wide range of disciplines across academia and increasingly in the private sector and government as well. In all of these domains, the outliers tend to be the places where you have the aha moments. You go, oh, it's a unique enough comment, it's a substantive enough comment, it's an idea that you didn't see coming, that you didn't expect. I would call it, text analytics could also be called, the unexpected concept finder, right? The unexpected concepts are the things that you really want to narrow in on. Next slide, please. We are building out our reporting features, so whether or not it's getting that 30,000-foot view of the coding process and the time that people are spending on it, or the results of the coding process, or the actual data that gets labeled by a particular code or by multiple codes, the intersection of codes, generating reports is near the end of the process. One of the things that when people who visit my lab commonly need to be reminded is that the text analytic process is not a magic button. There are many people looking for a magic button. They're going to push a button and they're going to generate results. It's a much more interactive process. We're trying to make it easier for individuals and groups to do that process, but at a certain point it does involve humans reading, reaching conclusions, asking questions of data, drawing inferences based on the data they've been able to sort out and categorize. But there is no magic button, and we're not building one. Next slide, please. So this is sort of the wrap-up here. Coming down the pipeline, we do have some things that will look kind of like magic buttons when they're done, but they won't be magic. They'll still involve humans. Whether it is computer-assisted sentiment analysis, or computer-assisted topic modeling and clustering, there's going to be a dynamic role, an active role for the users in the structuring of the results and the feeding back of whether or not a result is useful or not, so that our active learning, our machine learning algorithms can improve the quality of the sentiment and topic tools over time. Accumulated user feedback will result in a text analytic approach where you build models of your data, or of your customers, of your market segment, your product, and how it's talked about and thought about. And those models will not be one-off. They'll be reusable, and they'll grow over time and become more interesting and more valuable the more that key people in your organization interact directly with the data and with the software. Next slide, please. And that's it.
Okay, great. So now I wanted to open this up for everyone to answer or ask any questions that they might have for either myself or Dr. Shulman. So I did get a question earlier with regards to a methodology in which you would use both qualitative and quantitative research. And with this tool, you can use both. So with my background in market research, you'll be able to access what people are saying in the quantitative field via either online or even phone surveys. Make sure that you make a transcript, or you can download the open-ended text from the online surveys, and then you'll be able to feed it into DiscoverText. Another great thing to do with the qualitative side is that after you've created a transcript from either your focus groups or your interviews, you can actually take that and then upload it into DiscoverText, and then analyze both the qualitative and quantitative data side by side. So that is a really powerful tool. Definitely will save people a lot of time, and also you'll be very interested to see how common or uncommon quantitative data from the open-ended text versus the qualitative would be. So that was one of the questions. I do have another question here. Let me see if I can scroll down just 1 second here. So here's a question for you here, Stu. Do misspellings cause a problem for TA?
Yeah, and what I suggest, while you're fielding questions, will you make me presenter, and we'll throw it over to the live website.
Yeah, absolutely. Hold on.
Misspellings do cause problems for automated systems where it's it's a simple text search. Now there are fuzzy search techniques that will pick up and correct for um, misspellings, but it is one of the reasons why people in the qualitative tradition aren't necessarily big fans of automated techniques, because of the potential, particularly in user-created content like the stuff you see on Twitter and Facebook, where maybe people have been typing in haste, for those spelling errors to lead to missed items. So I hope that answers the question. We don't use a fuzzy search right now, but it's one of the advanced search techniques that we will be building in over time. Are there other questions out there, Esther?
I don't see any right now. You may want to click on your end to see, because sometimes when I change presenters, then the questions end up going to the presenter.
Yeah, no, I don't see the question box on my screen, but maybe.
Oh, that's okay. It looks like hopefully there are other questions.
Can we enable the audio to allow the people to speak questions?
Just one second here. Let's see. I do have a question from Mike about costs.
Okay. Well, Mike, I was just logging into the system, but let me bring you to the pricing page. Whoa. Okay, that's not where we want to be. Sorry. So, I mean, first thing is anybody could try the system for 30 days for free. We do have a set of services that are available via DiscoverText on a single user monthly license basis. But some of the more sophisticated services that we're developing, which fall into the Sifter services category, are going to be available by enterprise licensing only. So I'm actually, we're working with Survey Analytics to develop a pricing model to encourage you to continue being Survey Analytics customers and to become DiscoverText customers as well. So I think you're going to have to deal directly with Esther on the actual negotiation there, on how good a deal you can get for DiscoverText by virtue of being a Survey Analytics customer. I think it's a big discount off what we'll be giving people straight off the street who are interested in enterprise class services. But I would say for now, I would encourage you to log into the system and just try it out. There's sample data in the system, and you can. That was part of the reason I wanted to log in. You can, once you're into the account, you can try the sample data, which will create projects for you, and you'll be able to go in and take a look at either some of these large email collections, or we've got public comments. This is an entire blog that was downloaded off WordPress with 20,000 items on climate change. You can see I've done some research on various political and other commercial entities, and it's our hope that you'll be interested enough, having seen the webinar, to come in and just sort of poke around with the system. And if you think it might be something you want to pursue on a more on a pilot basis or on a long-term basis, that you'll follow up directly with myself or with Esther. But while we're here, I'll just say, come in, start a new project. Say you're interested in Walmart, right? Something like that. It's I guess I got logged out. I should say something about the whole Facebook login too. So you're interested in Walmart, right? And you want to import some data off the web. This is the page you were seeing. Wow, this looks nice. This is new. It's just this easy. If I want to create a Walmart archive, this search engine is going to be the Facebook search engine, and these results that are going to appear on the screen are the results that you would get if you were doing this this search inside of Facebook. And you can see there's a range of pages. That's an interesting one. 333 ways to get kicked out of Walmart. These are pages on Facebook. I hate Walmart. And groups. So if I just go to the big one at the top, here's my scheduler. I can schedule how often it's going to grab these feeds. And it's going to go off and do it. And when it's done, I'll get a notification. As you see, I've got some other archives that are on the scheduler. When there's new items that are found that aren't already in the archive, they get added to the archive. Any more questions coming in on your end?
Yes, I do. I have another question here. Can the TA results be merged with the survey data?
That's an interesting question. I guess the follow-up would be in what application? You mean in a spreadsheet, or certainly we could do that in a spreadsheet. We have various export options. You know, once you have data sets which are or archives in a project, and you want to bring them out, you can bring them out in a CSV format or XML format. We're pretty good on the ingest and export side. Actually, somebody just asked the other day, can you export in an SPSS friendly format? We don't currently, but you could certainly convert a CSV file to do SPSS, and we could create very easily an SPSS export format. So these are things that we feel we're strong at, and if users come to us and say, well, you've got all these ingest formats and export formats, but not the one that I need, we're more than happy to extend the system. As I said, our goal is to sort of create a universal repository for text where text moves freely in and out, whether it's raw text or coded text or text that's produced by a clustering algorithm or a topic model or a sentiment detector. So yes, I mean the answer is if you can't do it right now, you'll be able to do it very soon. So here's the Walmart piece that it looks like that page did not have very many items on it actually, only 2 items. That's kind of not a very exciting not a very exciting data set, but there are other. Let's just go straight for Sarah Palin, right? There are other. These are tweets with Sarah Palin's name, 2,000 tweets, or tweets at Sarah Palin. This is Sarah Palin on Facebook, 39,544 items. I can get an overview of that data set, or I can jump right into it if I want to start browsing it. I can reveal the metadata, or I could search it and get a subset of it. And let's see, socialist seems to be a word of interest. And it's going to grind through those items, and we do index them on the back end so that these searches. Well, I shouldn't say it. Well, it's in the middle because that'll slow it down. But these searches tend to go fairly quickly, even when the data sets are quite large. Just while we're letting that run, any other questions popping up for you, Esther?
Yes.
Okay, so here are the 150, the first 25 of 158 results, and I can change it to 250. I can change the length of the preview here in this window. So there are 158 out of about whatever that was, 40,000 items where the term socialist appears in these comments. Kind of interesting. So what's the next question? What's the next question, Esther?
No problem. I was like, oh, that is really cool. In a survey where respondents may or may not enter comments, how do blanks influence the results?
Oh, missing data? Well, anybody who does a lot of survey research knows that missing data is a common problem. I think they would not influence them that much at all. except in that, I mean, I know from doing a few surveys myself that it's sometimes tough to get all the respondents to answer all of the questions, and if they're not forced to answer them, they'll often skip questions for expedience or haste or just out of a desire not to answer a particular question. So I don't think it has a serious effect on the project. If it was critical for you to get an open-ended, to have no missing data in your open ends, you'd simply have to make that a required question on your survey.
All right, so another one here. Does the fees indicated apply to, is a fixed rate, and is there any rate discounted for students in general?
That's a good question. We've actually been running an educational special, so there is a discounted enterprise license for universities. Actually, just sold a couple of them last week, and they're a great deal. So I'd encourage you to contact me if you're a student at a university and you want your university to adopt this campus-wide. It's a great bargain right now, and it won't be for long. Only through the end of the month. So do contact me directly about that.
Okay, so another question. I think you may have answered this. Can DiscoverText read SPSS files?
Not currently, but if that was something that you wanted to have show up on this page, I think SPSS has a CSV export, so it's quite possible that you could do it via CSV export. But yes, I'd like to see an SPSS logo here so that you could take a file straight out of SPSS and put it in DiscoverText. That would be a very good idea, and we'll do it.
Okay. Looks like we have another question about the discount for students. So looks like there's a possible great market there for you. So
yeah, okay.
good.
Again, just give me a call. I believe the information is on the website right now, but you can certainly shoot me an email, and if there's somebody at your university that I should speak to about this, I'd be happy to make the contact.
Okay. Another question. DiscoverText will provide me qualitative data, and I still need to use a tool like SPSS for quantitative. Well, does this tool give me reading and similarities, which works in, I think, Navivo?
NVivo.
NVivo.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure which NVivo feature I'm using. I used to use NVivo and even Nudist before that, and MaxQDA and some of the other packages as well. I'm not sure which feature in NVivo that question actually is making reference to, but my guess is that's a feature that probably doesn't exist right now in DiscoverText. I should say something about the software that will help you better understand where it comes from and why it does what it does. I'm actually going to switch right off of DiscoverText to an older. This is the original software piece. It's called the Coding Analysis Toolkit. And when we first built this software, it was not with the idea that we were going to erect a software system that everyone would come and use, which in fact a lot of people have come and done it, use this system. The idea was that we wanted to improve the quality of human coding because a lot of the coding that we were doing was for and is still for computer scientists. And when we label data for computer scientists to try and build sentiment detection tools or other types of 1 second, please. Sorry, there was a imbroglio between two children going on in my house. But what I was saying was that we really wanted to very easily be able to measure the reliability of coders and then to adjudicate their decisions so that we could show them examples of valid and invalid observations in coding. And it was really very important for us to to do this. And as we've built out successive pieces of software over the last 3 or 4 years, we've preserved this module, right? The adjudication module, which is tremendously valuable for generating summaries of how valid coding is. You give people a coding task, and you're training them to try and put different chunks of text into appropriate labels or categories. Different people will interpret the labels very differently. And what is unique about our software is we're very focused on understanding the reasons for and correcting the reasons for error in coding, and our tools allow you to do that. Sometimes it's not error. Sometimes it's just 3 or 4 very smart people sitting around in a room looking at a piece of text and a label, and they cannot agree what the appropriate label is for that text. This is sort of a feature of DiscoverText I think is sometimes difficult in the earlier software as well. It's sometimes difficult for new users to understand because there's so many other nifty things going on in this data set. We've gotten so involved with the scraping of the web and the blogs and things like that, the duplicate, near duplicate detection, that buried down deep at the center of this system is a way to improve the quality of coding, to speed the training of coders, and to produce better results over time that are reusable results rather than one-off and into the recycle bin. So sorry that was a long-winded answer, but I was a little distracted by my squabbling children in the background.
That's okay. So Mark did say, your friend Mark, or your coworker Mark, in DiscoverText at the moment, blank data and blank comments are not important. Just FYI. So just wanted to share that with everybody. And I have another question about the license here from a PhD student. Would you consider offering a 3-month student license? Let's see.
The answer is yes. I had my mute on. Sorry. Just please contact me. Any students out there? Let's deal directly, one-on-one. Any other questions?
I believe that is it for right now. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to go ahead and contact us directly. You can contact Stu directly at DiscoverText, or you can email me. We'll also have a copy of the recording on our blog site, which is blog.surveyanalytics.com, and it'll also be on blog.questionpro.com. So if you missed part of this recording and you also want a copy of the slides to review with your team members, you can also download a copy and share those as well. So I'm going to go ahead and if there are no other questions, we'll go ahead and conclude the presentation. If you, Stu, if you have any conclusions you'd like to do at this time, I'll go ahead and open the floor to you for one last
I just want to just thank people for coming and for the good questions, and encourage you to look me up. I'm not hard to find, and you can find the Garlic channel too if you're really if you're really gung ho. It's right here, so that's the good stuff right there. I do thank you all. I do thank you all for coming, and by all means, the door is always open. We're a early stage startup, so we're always happy to talk to people.
Yes, wonderful. So again, thank you everybody for attending our presentation. We'll definitely make sure to follow up with all of our attendees. And again, we really appreciate your time, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.
Hi, thanks, Esther.
Thank you.